Welcome aboard, all you wonderful groomers, pet stylists, and canine cosmetologists. You found the Traveling Groomers Podcast, where we discuss lessons learned from mobile and house call grooming. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Bear Anthony. Any moment now, we'll be joined by my co-host and friend, retired mobile groomer and educator extraordinaire, Maryoquendo, and very likely a special guest to help us chat about all things grooming, grooming industry related, and just plain fun digressions that I will totally wrangle back to topic. Grab those travel mugs and climb aboard to see where today's topic will bring us. Let's roll! Pet Edge is your provider for professional grooming supplies at great prices. Check their website often for new products, sales, and special offers. For a limited time, save 5% off your order with promo code TRAVELER5. Find what you need to succeed at petedge.com. All right, ladies and gentle groomers. Welcome to part 2. We stopped at what I could only guess was a decent spot. We were talking about the human-animal bond, and we're going to jump right back in to a hot button topic because that seems to be the theme for these 2 episodes. So, welcome to episode 299, Ashley Hanvey part 2. This should be airing for the first time on June 18th. Oof, looking forward to it. Well, let's get right in. It's been a long grooming day. Let's go.
So I'm going to jump back to legislation.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Our jobs are inherently hard.
Yeah.
If we could be learning methods to make our job easier, but also provide more comfort to the dogs in our care, would you want to know more? Mm-hmm. Now, because we don't jump right out of the gate already knowing all of this stuff, as we honestly probably should, we have to make the choice to take continuing education because we are unregulated. We have to make the choice.
Yeah.
We choose to continually take new classes and update our skills and make sure that we're staying at the forefront of what's current.
Mm-hmm.
But there are plenty of groomers out there that learned how to groom 20 years ago and have not taken a single continuing education course since.
Mm-hmm.
We have to choose. We have to choose to be better than how we were yesterday.
Yeah.
And because it's left up to us, we're not required to take continuing education CEUs to maintain a license, to make sure that we're at the very minimum keeping up with some kind of regulation. So it has to come down to a choice. Now, in that same thought process, dogs in certain states are starting to get more personhood, which means they're getting more legal rights.
Which is wild in and of itself. That's
a
whole nother debate. Yeah.
Yeah, we really shouldn't be surprised because how many of us consider our dogs as part of our family?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But what does that mean for us? That means that we will eventually become regulated because we're going to have to, because we will be held more accountable for how we handle the dogs in our care.
And I know it on the surface sounds crazy. And yes, there's a lot about legislation I could get into, and we might still. But if you have a problem with a dog being considered property, even if it's only, it doesn't sit right with you, then this may be an extreme, but that's where you're looking anyway. So you can't have it both ways. They can either be complete property, in which case it, yeah, I said I was going to piss everybody off, right? Cool. Um, in which case, you can't get mad at the Amish puppy mills because they're treating them like livestock, and livestock is property. So if you disagree with how the Amish puppy mills do things, because they're treating them as property and livestock, then you have to acknowledge that a time will come when they will be treated differently under the law, and then we will be regulated.
But this is also a two-sided coin, because with personhood comes responsibility on the part of the owner.
Yes.
And they are also, in that light, they should also be held just as accountable for their care of their animal as we are, the professional.
Yes.
It goes both ways.
So all of those clients that you wish you could call animal control on because of how they're treating their animal. There you go.
Pretty much. What do you think, Mary?
That's some deepness.
Well, I think eventually that will happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's either going to happen quickly or it's not going to happen for a really long time. Meaning if it happens quickly because something happened and enough people got behind it to push it through. But that would have to be something significant.
And that, yeah, and that has tried to happen. It has tried. That's so grammatically incorrect. That has happened and that has been tried. And that is how the New Jersey State Org came to be. And that is why your state organizations are so important. It's so important that they exist and that they have membership. Because without that membership, when we go to the state house, and we not meaning New Jersey, that's any state organization, you have to be able to say you represent a sizable part of the population, that you represent people, you speak for someone.
Okay. So back during COVID, when the Washington Association was trying to get us out of the category of hairdressers and into our own category, as soon as they heard the word association, they started to listen. Mm-hmm. They never asked how many members we had. I believe at the time we may have had 10.
But they do tend to listen more to associations, yes.
That makes sense, because then it's a unified body with unified thought pattern.
Yeah. And we
but
can
I have to say, groomers are trying really, really hard to get us regulated. Between the abuse cases that, if you take a moment to Google groomer abuse, as a pet groomer abuse or whatever, there are far too many articles that pop up. Far too many. And then on top of that, the reels on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram of people trying to get their 15 minutes of fame by showing off the crazy dog that's on their table as if it isn't part of their problem.
Okay, I just had to Google it real fast, and let's ignore that the first hit was PETA. We're ignoring that. But the second hit was from March 20th, 2025. Business owner accused of abuse after dog grooming video goes viral.
Mm-hmm. The more that happens, the more likely people are going to end up getting pissed off enough that they do something about it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of groomers don't understand that what they are doing isn't in the best interest of the dog on their table, either because of the way that they were trained, their age, and their prefrontal cortex not being completely developed, what have you. There are other reasons for why we need to do better and to learn proper handling. Oh my,
I
Chris's
made the
face
mistake
is,
of watching the video.
yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that.
Oh, oh.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they
Sorry,
get really
sorry.
mad.
Sorry. I was like, well, that the dogs, there's nothing's happening there. Okay, sorry. Continue, Ashley. You were saying. Hanvey engineering isn't just for mobile groomers. I have loved my Hanvey equipment for years before I even thought of getting a mobile van, and I wouldn't want to groom without my Bathing Beauty and hair vac. With every piece of equipment in their van and outside of it having its own QR code linked to troubleshooting tips and fixes, these low-maintenance workhorses turn potential roadblocks into mere speed bumps. Check them out yourself at hanvey.com. Important things.
There are two other primary reasons for you to want to change your handling practices if you are on the fence. Liability being a key one here. And that ties into the personhood status. We need to be very careful. Let me bring it a different way. Why is it okay for an owner to come in and demand that we complete a haircut on a dog that is not handling it properly, for them to literally turn around and be willing to sue us if something goes wrong? Because that happens too.
Mm-hmm.
They want that haircut. They think we're selling them a tangible thing that they can buy. So they're expecting that haircut to get done, no matter what we have to do, behind the door to make sure it gets done. But then something happens to Fluffy on accident, more than likely. And now they want to sue us for that injury when we explain to them, at least in this case, that something was wrong. I actually have a really good example of this. I saw it in one of the groups recently. A groomer got a little bit of clipper burn on the inside of a dog's leg. They had it brought to the vet. They paid for the vet bill, did everything that they were supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? The owner brought the dog home and did absolutely no aftercare and allowed that dog to go after that spot to the point
That it got raw
that
and infected?
the dog basically chewed the leg open and showed the fat content.
Ooh.
And then is expecting the owner of that salon to pay for the additional veterinary fees because of the owner's negligence at home. I'm trying to remember which group I saw that in,
I am
but
not.
can you imagine?
I'm too sober for this right now. What now? No.
And that's with the groomer actually doing the right thing. The groomer did the right thing.
And did they still get sued?
And they may still get sued for that. How is that fair?
Because even if they win the lawsuit, that's still going to hit the news as groomer gets sued. Unless they countersue for time and legal fees and money, they're still fucked.
But this is the world that we're in right now. We have to be very careful with what we take into our space.
I wish I had money. I need to get a lottery ticket.
I just want to say something, because I hear this is the world we live in now. I've been hearing that since I was a child.
But it always means something a little different.
Yeah, and specifically we're a sue-happy society. We've been a sue-happy society for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
It's coming over now into our lane. But I just want to say, it isn't so much the world we live in. This is the world we live in is this whole Sue Happy stuff, it's just been building upon, building upon. It started off suing like big mega companies where you're gonna get something, and people got used to that. And because they got used to that, we became a very litigious society. So it's not just now going after the big guys that have bottomless pockets. It's
It's
now
going
going
after
after
the little guys. And social media adds a whole nother level to it. It used to be if you had a frivolous lawsuit, you were either a big corporation and whatever, and your lawyers handled it, or like it was just the legal issues. It was just whatever was connected to the lawsuit, whether that be time, money, frustration, and a teeny bit of local notoriety. Worst case, it hit your local paper. Now with social media, a 2-bit issue could blow up and go viral. And now your name is mud. You can't even flip and move and open up shop elsewhere if you get sued over something that wasn't your fault, if it gets painted just wrong in social media. So that adds to a whole nother level. So when I hear that it's the world we live in now, to me, it's got the social media aspect kind of dialed in there.
Right. And this is where I said I am a firm believer in having video and audio cameras.
Absolutely.
Because that, and if clients know they're being video and audio recorded, I think it puts a little damper on, well, there's no proof of it, okay? But what, if you record your grooms and you record what one person came in and asked for, as opposed to what the other person really wanted who came in to pay for it, it puts a stop to a lot of nonsense. And it's something that should be part of your business expenses. And it doesn't even have to be that expensive. A Ring camera system, you could do your entire facility for a couple $100 and just download the stuff and upload it to a drive folder, which might cost you $20 a year.
Yeah, it's become increasingly needed because while you may have a perfectly reasonable client when the dog is healthy and has no issues and whatever, but that same client, say you accidentally injure the dog and it's accidental, or they have a medical emergency while in your care. You need to have cameras proving that it was an accident or an emergency, because once their precious baby is at the vet's office, maybe fighting for its life or injured, the nice client can disappear very quickly under stress and fear.
That's happened to me. That's happened to me. I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing about the ear came off in a comb story. And corner of the ear from the little white fluffy dog. And the owner came back and was like, what really happened? Because the vet said, what are you, stupid? You believe that? I said, first of all, there's cameras. Second of all, I don't know what kind of magician you think I am, some evil magician, that I parted the hair, cut the ear, there was zero blood, and I let some of the hair hang back down. It's not like there was hair cut. So, yeah, no, here, go deal with corporate lawyers if you still think there's a problem and want to sue. I can't.
Another reason to change what we do is because of money. Dogs who are struggling through the grooming process can damage equipment, tools, themselves, and the groomer. Replacing equipment, vet visits, doctor's visits, workman's comp, all cost a business money. If you work alone and get injured, you could be out of work for weeks, depending on the severity of your injury. You gotta, even if you don't understand or are confused about cooperative care and consent and trying to do better handling, to just overall just have a better experience, think of it from the business side. Because between liability and money is enough of a reason in and of itself to try to adopt better handling practices in your business.
I'm Chris with Evolution Shears. And I like having good quality shears, but there's no need to pay either an arm or a leg to get fantastic quality shears here at Evolution Shears. No arms or legs required. Right, guys? Can we have our limbs back? Yeah, anyways. Sure.
Yeah, think of the clipper, that $400 clipper you just bought that went flying across the room.
That's just painful. That's just bad. I got to use the soundboard somehow. These episodes, I got to get
Or
in a little bit.
You have a large dog on your table that doesn't get groomed very often, say no more than every 6 months or whatever, once a year. They decide that they're done with whatever you're doing to them, and they jump off your table and bend the grooming arm, or take the table with them.
I haven't told this story in a while. I try to not repeat stories as much as possible, but when I was a bather at PetSmart and I had a big dog, it was not the Saint Bernard that bit me, but it was a Saint Bernard type big dog. I forget what it was, and it really needed its ears done because it had some irritation, but it really didn't like it. So I had it tied 2 ways to the bar. Like I had it on the loop, and then I had a thing around its hips, and it noped its way out of there. But it struggled so hard. The way the bar was in this PetSmart is it was like attached to the table, and then the bars went like that, but then there was a separate middle piece, and that's where the loops were. It was on that middle piece. So the dog rips that off, jumps off the table, charges out to the front of the store. Now it's got this big bar of steel just hanging off of it as it's running to the front. There was like 5 people outside the window just watching the cute little dog get groomed, and then that bursts through. Yeah, the table was designed in such a way nothing broken. If it did, it was corporate. It wasn't out of my pocket, but now I'm a business owner. And if we work for a small mom and pop shop, that is going to directly affect our lives, whether or not our boss has extra or can afford to replace that equipment immediately.
Because we all know, because I'm going to go there, that a lot of salons still aren't paying groomers appropriately, as in they're still getting 50% commission. And so the shops, especially the mom and pops, are not profiting like they should be.
I think at this point, we should just make a list of any controversial topic that we have not covered yet and just throw it in there and get it out of the way. Anything else, Mary? The air plucking and anal glands we throwing in there too?
I don't know. Why not, Chris?
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Let's tie this into behavior and handling.
Let's go back. So circling way back to the beginning. So did we ever have a better definition for you, Mary, of consent?
No, but here's the thing. I understand what it means.
Right.
Okay. And I know what they're trying to say with it. I understand that. What I'm trying to say is that when we're using terminology that can mean different things to different people, it's going to be misunderstood by somebody, and it's going to cause a problem for somebody else. That's the doodle owner who says, well, you have to look at the dog and he has to shake his head yes, to make sure that you can continue with the grooming. I mean, is
I
that
just want to
ridiculous?
point out that that's not giving consent because dogs don't do that.
But
Yeah.
again, you know it, I know it, okay? But
The owner doesn't.
The owner
the
doesn't.
owner
Now,
doesn't, because they're reading something into a words that we as an industry have not defined.
Yes. And that's actually a really good point because or I should say, it's a good point for here in the US. In the US, we have not properly defined what consent grooming is. However, in the UK, they have.
ooh,
All right, so how have they defined it? Explain that.
yeah.
And why can't we
I
just adopt it?
it's not I did explain it earlier when I was talking about being allowed an out, having choice.
Oh, okay.
That kind of
Okay, so
stuff.
that is what the UK, do it again. This is a whole this is a whole separate episode. Read that again, refresh our memories.
Basically, consent grooming is having a station where the dog is conditioned to be allowed to choose to walk away, to give
Okay.
themselves a break, to pause, what have you. We have two groomers in the UK specifically, and there may be more, that have programs already on this topic. They both offer classes. We have Sue Williamson and Stephanie Zickman.
Mhm.
Sue is a consent-based groomer, full on. And Stephanie probably is too. I know less about her, but she has a holistic grooming academy in the UK. She's Scottish, if I remember correctly. Both of them are very wonderful people. Their programs are absolutely needed in this industry, but I don't think initially they're going to resonate very well with US-based groomers until they have a bridge. And I want to teach that bridge.
I think respect-centered handling or respect-centered grooming could very well be that. I am glad you've come up with that term because it does resonate with what I try to do. And I'm about to start talking about that in a minute, something I hinted at it in the first episode, but that's just the way I see it. And when I've started to try to improve my handling, I want it to be a little bit like, look, maybe not every single toenail on your feet need to be done, but your dew claws are getting curly. They need to be done. And I will do what I have to do and work around and make that as stress-free as possible. But I respect that the dog has choices. Like, what I mean by that, I was talking to one of my clients, and being house call sometimes means they want to sit there right at the kitchen table with you while you're grooming their dog. She had a Schnauzer mix. He didn't like his toenails done, and he didn't like any knots being brushed out, and he could get snappy for it. And the owner went, oh, he would never bite you. He would never bite you. How often have we heard that?
How often have we heard that?
Uh-huh. So what I said to her, because I knew if I pushed him, he'd 100% bite me.
Absolutely.
And she was a psychiatrist. And I said, okay, if you tell me you don't like something and I keep doing it, and you tell me not to treat you a certain way or not to talk to you a certain way, and you keep doing it, and I keep doing it, at what point are you going to yell? Like, you're going to start getting louder and you're going to raise your voice because I'm not clearly hearing you, because I'm still doing the thing that you very clearly told me not to do. Your baby is very clearly telling me not to do something, that he doesn't like it. He doesn't like it when I do that. So at some point, He's going to yell. Does he want to hurt me? No, absolutely not. I don't think he wants to hurt me. No.
He's escalating the way he's trying to tell you to stop.
But I'm not listening to him. So he's trying to be clearer about telling me what he does not consent to. And that's why I don't hate the phrase as much, because I'm like, look, dogs can very clearly tell me with their teeth that they do not consent to something.
And hopefully they don't even have to be brought that far.
Yes, but we don't want to get to that point. We don't want to get to that point. And that's why I think when we fib to our customers about how their dog behaves, it's not doing anyone a service, because the next groomer is just going to grab a foot, not thinking, not knowing that that's an issue for them. And it could go bad. But anyway, got cat hair floating around because
I've seen it. I've seen a few cups of it. So I want people, the first thing that they can do is look at themselves and figure out what weakness areas they have in their education.
Mm-hmm.
And then go from there and decide what should be done about it. And if they can't find a class that covers something that they're looking for, well, then we need to fix that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pet Edge is the pet professional's choice for supplies and equipment from top brands. Check their website for new products, sales, and special offers. For a limited time, save 5% off your order with promo code TRAVELER5. Find what you need to succeed at petedge.com.
Well, how many of us as educators, like I know generally once a year I'll post something, hey, what do you want to see me teach? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at the responses, and sometimes that was like, oh yeah, no, that is so not my lane. So, but I'll mention it to somebody else. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not doing that. But it's sometimes, so there's a couple of reasons. All right. One is they don't go to a trade show. Maybe they don't go for a trade show for a lot of reasons. Okay. One is that maybe it's too far. They have little kids. They're the sole income. I mean, there could be 100 legitimate reasons on why you cannot go to a trade show. Okay. But then there is getting together with your area groomers and seeing if you can pull in enough interest to get someone to come to you. Right. And then there's online education. Online education in our industry has grown by leaps and bounds.
And speaking of that, well, positive educational training is still a thing. There's a lot of stuff on that. But your class at Dallas now, the first, we're just recording this all in one long run-on sentence episode. But the first episode will have aired right before the Dallas Pet Pro Classic. And Ashley's class, Dogs Are More Than Hair, debuted and started off a whole handling section. Now, let's just say that future me really wants to take your class at 8 a.m. because I'll be at Dallas. And I technically don't have to be in the booth until 9 or so. So I have the ability to take your class, but it's 8 o'clock in the morning. So future me's spirit was willing and flesh was weak, and I may have missed that class.
You have little less of an excuse considering it's CST and not EST. So technically for us, it's 9.
You don't know what my favorite getting up time in the morning is.
I am not a morning person either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My first client of the day came at 8:45 today, and
I would have been very upset.
it was, listen,
If you planned it, just shoot yourself in the foot.
I did plan it. There were reasons, and I am very fortunate that I yelled at my husband, who was just barely awake, and said, "I'm almost dressed. Go get Kira." So, but let's say I may have missed it. Where can I find that again? Because that's important.
So I've made the decision, because it's important, that once this class debuts at the US Pepper Classic, I'm going to record it and make it available free so that anyone can take it. Because I don't have time to argue with people on these real-based commentaries about how dogs can't consent and all that other stuff. I don't have time to do that. But the people that flat out say dogs can't consent, or that patience is going to win out with this groomer, I want them to be able to take this class, but also not say that, well, why can't you just, teach me right here in this comment section? I don't have time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if I provide this class for free, I can immediately be like, well, you don't even have to pay for this, and you get the primer to my course free of charge. It's going to be at least an hour. And it's going to be packed with a lot of information. And what I hope people get out of this class is to question themselves. I am not judging anyone for how they do things in their salons. I want people to just see the information and be like, do I need to change? And they can do it in the comfort of their own home without me staring at them. Well, they'll have to listen to me talk to them, right? Because I'll be narrating.
You're not really staring at them.
But I promise I won't put my face up on the screen. You won't have to feel judged by me. It doesn't matter. I want people to be curious. I want people to want to do better, and be happier.
And you are very much not judgy, because I've had a lot of conversations with you, and I've actually sent you video of a dog that I currently groom that I don't have the skills yet I want to have to help her. So I'm still going back to my making it and forcing it, and I hate it. And you've not been judgy at all. I
have no place to stand on. I can't judge. I was extremely good at getting it done. Okay. I was that groomer. I made the conscious decision to change. Now, there are a lot of groomers that have taken a similar path to me, that used to be a really good get it done groomer, that could wrangle some of the hardest dogs and get that haircut done real good, right?
Mm-hmm.
That have had various reasons as to why they decided to change, okay? But for me, it was because of burnout. For other people, it was because of a really severe injury or some other very catastrophic thing happened to them that made them realize that what they were doing wasn't working anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We deserve to be happy. This job is already hard enough as it is.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Wouldn't you want to enjoy it if you could? Wouldn't you want the dogs on your table to enjoy it?
Because fighting with even 50%, if quote unquote, only 50% of the dogs that cross your table you have to fight with, that's just draining. That's exhausting. Doesn't make for a happy groomer, doesn't make for a happy dog. Oh, and other things.
For yourself.
Other things I was told, especially with terriers, you can't let a terrier think that they've won. You have to out-terrier them. Not in those words.
Which is impossible to do, by the way. You have to negotiate with a terrier.
Mm.
It is a negotiation. Okay, trust me, I have one.
I see him passed out over there behind you.
Yeah, she is out cold right now. It's very cute, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I want people to, they deserve the information. I have spent months riding this class, okay? And I want people to have it for free because I want them to be able to access it no matter what their financial situation is. When my huge, gigantic handling program finally comes out, I am probably not going to charge enough for it because it is too important and I want it in the hands of the people.
Yeah.
And I've already spent 2 years working on it.
Don't worry, Ashley. We will have a conversation regarding that.
I know it's probably going to be worth thousands of dollars. And
I want to be a fly on the wall for this conversation because it's rough. This is a rough one because I get what you're saying. This is an important program because this is not just something that is good for the groomers who take it. This is something that has the ability to change a lot in the grooming industry. It's to change how we see things.
There's this topic is not widely covered.
Yeah.
And when it is covered, it is not done correctly.
I love being a house call groomer, but I hate doing laundry or worrying about asking my clients for fresh towels. Raypet has solved those problems for me with the Wet Pet disposable towel. Taking up much less space than traditional cotton towels and easy to wring out and reuse, these super soft, comfy, absorbent towels eliminate any cross-contamination concerns between pets, and now their new smaller washcloth size can even help those sensitive eye areas. Great for cleaning out wrinkles gently and thoroughly. Need to keep water bowls for your clients on hand that are easy to disinfect, but hate all the room traditional clanky metal bowls take up? Or just have a very active pet? Their collapsible silicone bowl comes with an aluminum D-ring hook that can be attached to your pet's leash or anywhere else in your van for easy storage. You can get one by itself or in their handy travel kit, along with a set of 3 tick removers and 1 small wet pet towel. So stop by their website to check it out, raypet.net, and tell them the Traveling Groomers sent you.
Correctly.
And I want there to at least be that discussion, and I want more people to know that there's a better way than just having a death grip of the dog's chin hair. And I had to change my ergonomics class because when I first wrote it, I defined static load. One of the ways I used to define it was, when you're holding that dog so tight because right where you're holding it, they can't get to you. And if you let go, that they're going to kill you. That I use that to define static load. So I'm like, yeah, I've come a long way just in the past. Oh, was that 5 years when I wrote the first one? Yeah, just in the past few years.
I want this education to be as accessible as I can reasonably make it. Because the more people that are able to access the information, the better grooming that gets to happen on a lot of tables.
Yeah.
I want everyone to be as happy as they can be. I want them to love their job. We've all seen the groomers that literally get dog after dog after dog that struggles, and they're burnt out and they can't take it anymore and they're about to leave the profession even though they love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's time that our lives get easier for the right reasons.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I really need all this information out of my head and onto paper because I can't think of anything else. It consumes me. Okay. It consumes me.
And I know I said I'm excited like a basset hound. Maybe for you older people, a specific cartoon basset hound may have jumped into your mind. But I love learning, but I don't necessarily like change. Sometimes frustrates me. So I'm like, damn it. So I'm just mentally calculating these man hours and going, I don't know when I'm going to do this, but this is, I guess, got to happen.
Well, all right. Well, you're probably going to hate me when you actually take it. Okay. I'm going full out. All right. The 1 hour primer is not going to have any of this in it. It's just going to be me talking about very important topics to get your mind thinking and going in the right direction. But when you actually take the 4-part series, you will be reading books, scientific papers, watching documentaries, and so on. Okay? And it's going to be very time consuming. I would like to at least describe the basis. The first 2 classes are theory. The first class, Dogs Are More Than Hair, is about the human side of the relationship. The second class, I'm not going to name drop yet, is all about the dogs and how they have evolved alongside us. Okay. The third class is the advanced version of Don't Grab the Beard, because after theory, I give you the why before the how. All right. I need you to understand where my brain is going before I show you how I handle dogs. So after the extended advanced version of Don't Grab the Beard, then we would go into respect-centered handling. And then I'm going to tell you that the way that I'm teaching you how to handle is not the be-all, end-all, and I am not the only person or the only authority on how dogs should be handled. I am just showing you how I did things so that I can help you. And then from there, hopefully, and I've already been talking to a few people, bringing in some other people with some supplementary classes that describe how they do things with their dogs, so that we can, kind of have a really nice, well-rounded type of course. Mary Niskern is getting dragged in on this, by the way, Mary.
Good.
I had somebody else too, and my brain is quite fried after today, but Mary Niskern for sure is being pulled in. If people want to take my respect-centered handling and then go a step further and go into full consent grooming, they will be referred to Sue Williamson's class, because she has a full program on consent grooming. I want to make sure that the information is available and accessible.
I'm going to see Mary this Friday. She's getting married.
Yay.
Oh, congrats. So how evil does it sound if I say, if I go all that route and take the full-on consent grooming classes, so I understand that, and someone comes to me and they want consent and they want that and they can't find anyone who does that. I believe the phrase "out the wazoo" is the only thing that can come to mind in terms of pricing.
Well, yeah, because that is another specialty. So of course you need to charge appropriately for your time. For me, hourly always works best. I'm very consistent in how much time it takes me to groom. But then you also, depending on what you're doing, and you'll figure this out when you go through training, is how much individual time you should actually be spending on a dog with certain things to work on.
That's fair.
So really just, it's very broad and depends. And that's why I personally usually charge hourly, because it makes the most sense for how I do things.
Although, would you think an hourly rate for your respect-centered grooming might be a different hourly rate than consent grooming?
It really depends, because you're offering a service that is desperately needed. And you don't want to be so far overpriced everyone else that it's not attainable for that owner to get.
That's also fair.
It's a balance.
Yeah.
Like with everything.
It's got to be worth me doing.
Yes. It's got to be worth you
but
doing.
But it's got to be relatively attainable.
Yeah.
That's rough. That is rough. All right. So what else is on your list of things?
I actually ended up writing a whole essay. So when you,
I kind of could tell.
So when you
okay.
actually air the first class, I'm probably going to post this at the same time so that they can read this as well as get the audio version. I got to do something with this. I spent all day on it.
I did not mean to like put that much pressure on you because,
I put it on myself. Okay.
okay.
For change, it was not me who did this to you?
Correct.
Okay.
And it was completely unintentional. So
No, I did this to myself
Okay.
because I have been sitting down trying to finalize my 1 hour version of Dogs Are More Than Hair for Dallas.
Okay.
And my brain just started going. And I gotta take it while I've got it. So the brain did the thing and the thing ended up on paper. So
Hey, I started that today. I started that. My brain started doing things and I had to get something on paper. And then I'm like, this isn't the thing I'm supposed to be getting on paper. I'm supposed to be doing this thing. Oh, well, this is happening now.
Are you ambitious and motivated? Looking to pivot your career within the pet industry? Hesitant to take the first step? Unsure of how to begin? If so, the Create That Program monthly membership is tailored for you. Gain access to over 20 hours of recorded content, invaluable workbooks, and practical checklists. Additionally, benefit from a monthly group coaching call with Maryoquendo, a 2-time nominee for Barclay's Contribution to the Industry Award. Are you prepared to make a worthwhile investment in yourself? For just $197 a month, initiate your journey towards leaving a lasting mark on the pet industry by joining Create That Program. Join today at createthatprogram.com.
This is happening now.
So I know this was long and we kind of bounced all over the place. So really, I just want people to understand that change is good.
Yeah.
Change is good. And while change doesn't happen instantaneously and is hard, like when you switch from regular shears to swivel shears, okay?
And
Same thing.
angels sing, and it's just beautiful.
It's
Eventually.
the same thing. You didn't learn how to groom overnight. You aren't going to learn to modify your handling style overnight either. It's going to be a process. But you know what? When you go home at the end of the day and your hand is not in pain from your hands are not in pain from restraining a dog, and most of your dogs went home happy, you can have a sigh of relief that I had a great day.
Yeah.
And that the dogs had a great day too, and I still made good money, and I can feel good about myself and everything I've done.
Yeah.
I just want to help people. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm an educator, because I want to help. And I spend way too much time reading books on behavior and everything else that I need to share it. And I know all of us, and I don't have the time either, but all of us don't have the time to do the amount of research that I've been doing. So I'm trying to compile it in a way that is somewhat easily digestible. And yeah, then you guys do what you want with it.
I like it. I like it.
And I'm probably going to piss people off in the process because people do fight change. And just remember, people that become angry with me later, that I only want you to be happy. And I want the dogs in your care to be happy. And I don't want your body falling apart. And I want you to enjoy your job. Because we all deserve to enjoy our jobs.
And just because I grumble at you doesn't mean I'm actively mad at you. Ask Tish or Trish. I'm an ass. Sorry. Ask the lovely people at the ISB booth how much I grumble at them. Ask Angie how much I've cussed her out for starting me on with these products. Cussed her out.
Kind of wish I had seen that, not gonna lie.
Not really badly, just like, this is your goddamn fault. Her and
she
Mindy.
probably said, yes, it is.
Yeah,
Huh.
and she was proud of that fact. I have several several great bad influences in my life, and I'm so
You're welcome.
grateful for them.
You can blame Mary for that, by the way, because Mary has known me for the entirety of my grooming career. The entirety.
Yep.
All right, so we have covered consent versus cooperation,
Which is technically the same thing.
which is we're not fully agreed on that, but we've at least, I think we had an open discussion.
No, I personally think they're the same thing, but one term is a little bit better than others only because it can be less misconstrued by people who are using a word as it means for them.
Yes. And I don't think that they're necessarily the same thing, because I think you can cooperate and I'm still going to hammer that, but I'm still going to say we are striving towards cooperation with the dog. We're going towards that, because I'd rather they cooperate than not. And if they're at least cooperating enough to get it done, even though they may still hate it and us, that might ease them towards more relaxing and trusting, because eventually they'll go, maybe this doesn't hurt. This isn't so bad. And they will learn to be okay with it. I'm just in that kind of mood, Mary.
Obviously, if they can tell that.
And I've St. Bernard donated a $500 skin and coat program last month now.
No.
When this airs, it'll be last month. It was just, it's still fresh because this was just days ago for me.
Yeah.
Literally. They donated that to the Pet Stylist Relief Fund, and I bought a lot of tickets, and I really wanted it. Now I have to buy it with my own monies. God damn it.
And she got real excited there for a second because the person who won it was named Christine.
I know. Mary had one job on that ticket. I'm just saying. This is how you know it was honest.
All right. You mentioned something earlier, and maybe it was before we hit recording, about legacy groomers.
Oh, yeah. So I want to preface, because this is important. I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud.
And if anything, you've already pissed off enough people, so go for it.
Well, look, I can still edit the hell out of this. If I next week re-listen to it and go, well, I don't know what the fuck we were thinking.
All right. Being a master groomer holds very little weight for me. And it almost means nothing to me now, even though that was the epitome of what I could achieve when I started grooming. Because for most of the programs, they only focus on the haircut and how the haircut is achieved. Generally speaking, because this is not all of them, it does not take into account everything else that is important about the dog on your table. And show haircuts are generally stupid because they make no sense.
Not necessarily.
I really can't believe I'm going to say this out loud. A full-coated Cocker Spaniel is not going to go running in the woods hunting, okay?
But are you thinking of an American Cocker? American Cocker. Okay. English Cockers got a better shot of that. American Cockers.
Anyway.
The
point being,
I was thinking of
coat
continental trims. Go ahead.
Behavior and handling needs to come before a pretty and perfect haircut.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't properly take care of their skin and coat, and you can't properly condition them to be groomed on the table, we have no business having perfect haircuts on a dog. I know that we are an art-based profession. I already mentioned this.
We're sculptors. We just sculpt
Okay.
dog hair.
We do beautiful work. We do a lot of really amazing things, but every dog is not suited to this. All right.
Even dogs
That being
that
said,
need it.
once you become a master groomer, no one is required to take continuing education to maintain that certification. And that for me is a major problem.
Except the PGC the PGC
Chris?
credentialing program that I haven't given up hope on.
That is now owned by AKC. Last
Yeah,
time.
but you know what?
Yes.
Don't shoot the messenger on that, because Chris and I know the person who is working behind the scenes on that, and she really is dedicated to making that a really good program.
Yeah.
And I am all for it if that happens.
So I have not given up hope on that.
But my point stands true that once you become a master groomer, that you don't have to do anything else to continue proving that you're
Yes.
worthy of that title. And the same can be said for our educators, all of them in our industry. Once you become really popular and busy, doesn't give you an excuse to not continue your education.
And I don't want anybody to think we're like stirring the pot, because as far as I'm concerned, Ashley is talking directly to me, because I said that and I have been slacking, and I'm going to call myself out and go, I've been slacking because I am a stupid busy person, and I have the opportunity to have surrounded myself with high level people. So like I said to Ashley earlier today, I feel like I learned so much through osmosis, just being around it, being exposed to it. I need to start making that official, and I need to start.
That does count. It does count, because realistically, the credentials that we get only matter to other groomers. It means nothing to anyone else.
But yeah,
The whole point is that you are continuing to learn and do better.
And the entire purpose is to be a better person, groomer, business person, sister, daughter, friend, mom. Be better tomorrow than we were today. Even if it's the little bit, even if it's baby steps, we're getting there. And I think,
Don't hate me.
no. And I think that's a positive enough effort, and it's right about at our time. I think we are right about time to wrap up. Is there anything any of you wanted to add?
Nope.
All right. Guys, I have faith in all of you. I have some faith in me that
I have faith in you.
that I'll thank you. I wasn't hinting too hard, right? But I have faith in us that will continue and that will grow and that will continue to be better groomers and people tomorrow than we were today. All right. Ashley, thank you so much for coming on and spending a whole long conversation with us.
Always. You can have me back whenever you want.
Yay. All right. Expect more talk of handling and learning and growth in episodes to come. Safe travels, guys.
Well, that was fun. But now it's time to head home. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed chatting with you. If there are any topics you'd like us to discuss or guests you want to see join us on this crazy road trip of ours, let us know in the Traveling Groomers Facebook page. Don't forget to thank our sponsors. And see you next week, guys. Safe travels.